A boy named Fred was returning home from school in the company of his friends. He noticed his box of chocolates had fallen off his bag. Turning around, he found a homeless man already holding the box of chocolates. The man looked famished. He could see the pain in the man's eyes. The man politely asked him if he could have the chocolates for himself. "I haven't eaten in 2 days. I've not been lucky to get any help in the last 2 days." Fred felt sorry for him. Yes, of course you can have it," he responded. As Fred walked home that evening, he couldn't help but think about the homeless man. He felt so sorry for him and was hoping he could be of help to him. The next day, Fred looked out for the homeless man on his way back home from school, and amazingly, he was at the same spot he had seen him the previous day. He stopped by and gave him another box of chocolates. He asked him if he had eaten, and the man answered him sadly, "The only thing I've eaten today was the leftover from the chocolates you gave me yesterday." Perplexed and curious, Fred asked him, "Hasn't anyone passed by today and gracefully helped you with some money or food?" "Many people have passed by, but none had been touched enough to offer some help," he answered. Fred felt pity for him and promised to get some food for him. He hurried home and packed some food for the man and then returned to him. A spark of hope lit up in the man's face as Fred handed the food over to him. He opened the pack and ate all as fast as he could. Fred sat down beside him and asked him if he wouldn't mind sharing his life story and how he became homeless. The man gladly narrated his story to Fred as if he had been looking forward to offloading the burden off his heart. He told him that he was a successful businessman who focused so much on his business and had no time for relationships with women. When he finally decided to get married, he got married to the only woman whom he had ever loved and cherished with his heart. After their marriage, they had delays having a baby, and eventually when his wife got pregnant, she died during childbirth. "This left a vacuum in my heart," he said. His child was later diagnosed with a terminal disease at 10 months old. He spent all his savings on medical bills trying to keep the child alive. At that time, he could no longer focus on his business because his child needed his attention and care. After some time, the business grounded. His child also died months after. He couldn't pay his mortgage and was thrown out on the street. At that time, all he felt was loneliness and sadness. His psyche got affected. He found it hard to pull himself together and start his life again. He faced Fred and said, "Maybe someday I would have the courage and the hope to begin again." Fred was moved to tears by his story. He wished he could help him, but he knew there was little he could do. He was just a 12-year-old boy, but he thought to himself he would help with whatever he could. After that day, Fred would take some food to the man every evening. It soon became a routine for him. Every evening by 6 p.m., the man would already be looking forward to Fred's visit. Fred would give him some nice meals and they would have a little chat. Fred was doing this without letting his parents know he knew they might not support his action. This continued for several weeks, and the new friend the man found in Fred brought him a ray of hope. He started to heal emotionally, and he was already trying to put some thoughts together about getting out of the street. One evening, Fred arrived without any food. He told him he didn't come with any food because they didn't have enough food at home. The man didn't show any sign of disappointment. He was still happy Fred came to see him. The next day, Fred came again without any food and gave him the same excuse of not having enough food. Again, the man was happy that he came to see him. This happened for another 2 days. Then the next evening, it was past 6 p.m., and there was no sign of Fred. Fred had never missed visiting him in the past 5 weeks. He still saw him on his way from school earlier that day, so what could have kept him from coming? The homeless man thought to himself. He kept waiting, hoping he would show up soon. 7 p.m., 8 p.m., still no sign of Fred. He started becoming worried for him. Then he decided he was going to check up on him. Fred had shown him his house a few weeks back. When he got to the door, he was initially afraid of what reaction he would receive from his family, but he summoned up courage and knocked on the door. Fred's mom opened the door. She had a warm smile and asked him what he wanted. He answered in a rather troubled tone, "I'm just here to make sure everything is fine with Fred." As he tried to introduce himself, Fred's mom ushered him in. To his amazement, every member of Fred's family was in the living room, including Fred, and they all started clapping for him. Fred ran to him and gave him a hug. He didn't understand what was happening. Then Fred's dad explained to him, "We discovered our son was always going out every evening at 6 p.m. with a bag in his hand, so we asked him why, and he told us your story. We let him continue with this act of kindness to you, but we knew you needed more than just the meals. So one day, we asked him if he was sure you really cared about him as much as he did. He said he was sure you did, but you would not be able to show it because you do not have the resources to do so. We told him that one does not need resources alone to care for others. We told him to stop bringing you food for 4 days and then stay back home today to see if you really care about him, and here you are, worried because you didn't see him in just 1 day. We are sorry you found yourself in this situation," Fred's dad said. He handed him a check and a bag filled with some of his old clothes. "You can get yourself a small apartment and some food. If you don't mind, here's my business card. You can come to my office tomorrow. We may have a small job for you to start with," he added. The man was overjoyous and couldn't thank him enough. You do not need all the resources in the world to show your love to someone. A simple act of kindness can go a long way in transforming people's lives.